Every evening, at exactly 6:30, the tiny bookstore on Maple Street closed its doors. The owner, 70-year-old Samuel Brooks, always followed the same routine. He switched off the lights, locked the front door, walked to the back of the store, and gently touched an old wooden bookshelf that had remained locked for 30 years. No customer, no employee had ever seen what was hidden behind it. Whenever someone asked, Samuel simply smiled. Some stories must wait for the right reader. One cold autumn afternoon, a homeless girl wandered into the bookstore. She looked no older than 13. Her shoes were torn. Her jacket was soaked from the rain. She wasn't looking for money or warmth. She walked straight to the history section, picked up a dusty novel, and quietly began reading. Samuel watched from behind the counter. Hours passed. The girl never asked for food. She never asked for help. She only read. Finally, Samuel walked over. "What's your name?" She looked up. "Lily. Do you like books?" She smiled. "They're the only place where nobody asks where I belong." Those words stayed with Samuel. Fun. As Lily prepared to leave, a small silver key slipped from her pocket. It landed on the wooden floor. Samuel bent down to pick it up. The moment he saw it, his hands began to shake. The key had the exact same engraving as the lock on the mysterious bookshelf. Impossible. 30 years ago, he had thrown the only key into the river, or so he believed. But Samuel looked at Lily. "Where did you get this key?" She frowned. "I've had it since I was little. My grandmother gave it to me," she said. "One day this key will lead you to the truth about your family." Samuel's face turned pale. "What was your grandmother's name?" Lily answered softly. "Eleanor Brooks." The room fell silent. Samuel slowly stepped backward. Eleanor Brooks was his wife. She had died 28 years ago, and they had never had children. Or, at least, that's what Samuel had believed. Without another word, Samuel led Lily to the locked bookshelf. Neither of them spoke. He inserted the silver key into the old lock. For the first time in 3 decades, the lock clicked open. Behind the shelf was a hidden room, covered in dust, filled with old journals, family photographs, and dozens of unopened letters. One photograph made Samuel's heart stop. It showed his late wife Eleanor holding a newborn baby. On the back, someone had written, "Our daughter, Autumn, 1998. Samuel could barely breathe. He whispered, "No, that's impossible." Because Eleanor had once told him their baby had died at birth. Then Lily quietly looked at the photograph and said the words that changed everything. "I've seen that baby before. My grandmother kept this same picture inside a box labeled, 'For Lily, when she's old enough to know the truth.'" Samuel couldn't move. His hands trembled as he held the old photograph. He looked from the picture to Lily and back again. "This can't be real," he whispered. "Eleanor told me our daughter died." Lily looked at him quietly. "My grandmother always said, sometimes people lie, not because they don't love you, but because they think it's the only way to protect you." Samuel slowly opened one of the dusty journals. The first page was written in Eleanor's handwriting, March 12th. "If Samuel ever finds this room, please forgive me. I carried this secret alone for too many years." Samuel felt tears filling his eyes. He turned the page. 28 years earlier, Eleanor had given birth to a baby girl. The child was healthy. But only a few hours later, a powerful businessman arrived at the hospital. He wanted revenge against Samuel. Years earlier, Samuel had testified against him in court for selling counterfeit rare books. The man had lost everything. Now, he wanted Samuel to suffer. He threatened Eleanor. "If Samuel doesn't disappear from this town, your daughter will never be safe." Eleanor believed him. That same night, she secretly left the hospital with the baby. She told Samuel their daughter had died. It was the hardest lie she had ever told. Samuel closed the journal. His heart was breaking. For 28 years, I believed my little girl was gone. Lily gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "My grandmother never stopped loving you. She wrote your name in every birthday card she kept. Samuel looked confused. Birthday cards? Lily nodded. There are dozens of them. Together, they opened an old wooden chest. Inside were 28 sealed envelopes. One for every birthday, each addressed to Autumn Brooks. Samuel opened the first one. Inside was a tiny handwritten message. Happy first birthday, my little sunshine. One day, your father will know how much he has always loved you. Samuel couldn't stop crying. Then Lily found another envelope. Unlike the others, it wasn't addressed to Autumn. Across the front, only 3 words were written. For my husband. Samuel slowly opened it. Inside was Eleanor's final letter. If you're reading this, it means I no longer have the strength to keep searching. I found our daughter. She grew into a kind woman named Autumn. She became a teacher. She has a daughter of her own. Her name is Lily. Samuel looked at Lily. His lips trembled. My granddaughter. Lily smiled through tears. I think so. Before Samuel could speak, a folded newspaper clipping slipped from the envelope. Across the headline, a local school teacher is saving children from a fire. There was a photograph, a smiling young woman. Her name underneath, Autumn Brooks. Samuel's knees gave way. Lily whispered softly, she was my mother. I never got the chance to tell her that I found the bookstore. Just then, a small metal music box hidden at the bottom of the chest suddenly began to play by itself. As Samuel opened it, he discovered one final note tucked inside. Written in Eleanor's handwriting were the words, "The last secret isn't here. It's beneath the old oak tree behind the bookstore." Samuel looked toward the back window. For 30 years, he had walked past that tree every single day, never knowing something had been waiting for him beneath it all along. The music box slowly stopped playing. Samuel held the tiny note in his trembling hands. For 30 years, the old oak tree had stood behind his bookstore. Every morning, he swept its fallen leaves. Every autumn, he watched children play beneath its branches. Never once did he imagine that Eleanor had left one final secret there. As the sun began to set, Samuel and Lily walked into the backyard. The giant oak tree stood silently, its branches swaying in the evening breeze. Near the roots, Lily noticed an old heart carved into the trunk. Inside it were 2 initials, S, Met, E. Samuel smiled through his tears. I carved that the day I asked Eleanor to marry me. Lily gently brushed away the fallen leaves. Something caught her eye. A small iron ring, almost completely buried beneath the soil. Together, they dug carefully. After several minutes, they uncovered a weathered wooden chest. The brass lock had rusted away long ago. Samuel slowly lifted the lid. Inside, there were no jewels, no money, only memories. Tiny pair of baby shoes, a soft knitted blanket, hundreds of family photographs, and one final envelope. Across the front, Eleanor had written, "Open together." Samuel looked at Lily. She nodded. Together, they opened the letter. Inside, Eleanor had written, "My dearest Samuel, if you are reading this, then our family has finally found its way back to one another. I never stopped loving you. Every birthday, every Christmas, every Mother's Day, I stood across the street from your bookstore. I watched you smile at strangers. I watched you recommend books to lonely children. And every time, I wanted to run into your arms, but I was afraid the people who threatened us would return." Samuel could barely breathe. Eleanor continued, "Our daughter grew into the kindest woman I have ever known. She became the teacher I always dreamed she would become. She told stories that gave children hope. She raised Lily to love books, because I told her that her grandfather believed every book could change a life." Lily quietly wiped away her tears. Samuel gently held her hand. Eleanor's letter continued, "Samuel, please don't spend the rest of your life mourning what was stolen. Celebrate what has been returned. Love Lily the way you would have loved Autumn. And promise me one thing. Never lock this room again. Let every lonely child who enters your bookstore know that they belong. Love forever, Eleanor." For a long time, neither Samuel nor Lily spoke. Finally, Samuel smiled. "We're going back inside." The very next morning, The mysterious bookshelf remained open. The hidden room was transformed into a cozy reading corner. Soft chairs, warm lamps, shelves filled with children's books. A small wooden sign hung above the entrance. It read, "Eleanor's Reading Room. Every child is welcome here. No tickets, no fees, no questions." If a child needed a place to read, the door was always open. Lily moved into the apartment above the bookstore. After school, she helped customers choose books. Samuel taught her how every story carried a lesson. Years later, Lily became a librarian. Just like her mother, she believed stories could heal broken hearts. Every Saturday, she hosted free reading circles for children. Some arrived with happy families, others arrived alone. Every child left feeling seen. Before Samuel passed away peacefully at the age of 90, he placed the old silver key into Lily's hand. This key was never meant to lock people out. It was always meant to open hearts. After his passing, Lily never removed the key from around her neck. It became the symbol of the bookstore. Above the entrance, a new sign appeared. Brooks Family Bookstore, where every story finds a home. People traveled from all over the country to visit. Not because it was the biggest bookstore, but because everyone who walked through its doors left believing something simple. Sometimes, the greatest inheritance isn't money or property. It's the love someone protects until the right person is ready to receive it.